Just wanted to present some of my findings in regards to the different sales metrics by the demographics, as well as some, my conclusion in regards to that about how our sales are looking, who's buying, who isn't, and some recommendations to potentially increase that. Just to get started, I want to take a look at the sales by the income dashboard that has all the different graphs together, and on the side some of the filters that you're able to take a look at just to manage your own. In terms of beginning, just taking a look at sales by income, and it looks as if those with no income are the vast majority of people that buy from us. Could take a look at those we know with more than 50K in incomes, it's a little less than 2 million. Those between 10,000 and 25,000 in income, 1.2. Those between 25 and 50, about 2, and those below 10,000 are is the smallest demographic, which will make sense. But no income is our greatest demographic in terms of sales, and so much so that it's greater than the next three highest, which is these three combined. So it's definitely makes up the bulk of our sales and of our customer base. Then we look at the sales by gender, and as you can see, males and females. Males are about $1.6 million more than the females, so it's a little bit of an edge in terms of like males buying more than females as well. Then look at sales, the total sales by demographics. You can kind of take a look at it and see that one single people make up the vast majority of our customer base at $8.1 million, whereas married people is only 3.2. Those prefer not to say at less than half of a million. So as you can see, single people will make up the vast majority of our sales. And just want to jump in a little bit to the average sales by marital status. When you look at the averages as opposed to the totals that we looked over here, the averages are pretty similar, with single people $78 and married people at $77. Those prefer not to say about $93. As you can see from this one, the averages don't really tell much of a story because it just kind of shows us like from those who do order who fit that demographic, doesn't really tell us a story. So that's why the majority of this analysis we'll focus more on the totals just to kind of see the rough numbers and as a general pile, right? So the averages don't really tell us much difference because it's clear from before we saw that single people make up the vast majority of it, but they're only ordering $78 on average. But they order so much more frequent than everybody else that the number doesn't make a difference. In terms of sales by education, as we can see here, we can take a look at this: the graduates and the postgraduates. These two, 5 million and 5.3 and 5.3 million a piece, both of them. Whereas those with PhD and a little bit of schooling and those who are uneducated don't really buy from us at all. I mean, they do obviously, right? But their numbers are so low that it's insignificant compared to the graduate and postgraduate students. So I would say that from here, you can see that the postgraduate and graduate students are the number one demographic that buy from us in terms of that. So as we can see here, and if you look at the sales by occupation as well, you can see that students make up $6.3 million. So much so over the employees and self-employed people, and over here the housewives as well in terms of occupation. The students make up more than every other demographic combined as it relates to occupation. So as we can see here, the students are our number one customers in terms of that. They make up, like I said, they make up the majority of our sales. Which is consistent with our previous graph of the sales by education, where you see postgraduate and graduate students are the ones who make up the majority of our sales. As we look at sales by family size, those with one person in their families is only about 800K or so, whereas those with two people in their families, $3.1 million, and those with three, $3.5 million. So as you can see, 2 and 3 are the number one in terms of family size that buy from us, which would make sense, right? People with 2 or 3 mouths to feed would be the number one people who purchase from us in terms of that. So next we could look at the average sales by date. As you can see, kind of just tell the general trend in numbers in terms of in regards to who buy from us. It's about 80, 70. This isn't straight too high. Lowest being around 71 in June, and highs being around 90 in August. So as you can see, just the trends generally strays around the 80s, give or take. Like I said, with the low of 71, the high of $90 per order. So That's the general trend of the sales by date. It doesn't really change too much, so I guess the dates don't really affect too much in terms of like who purchases from us and how much they purchase from us. So you can see sales by age. 19, not so much. 21 gets a little higher. Once you get to 22, peaks at 2023. 22 is about $1.7 million, whereas the 23 is $2.1 million. So it peaks over there at 22. 23 is with it. 24 is 1.5. 26 25, sorry, $1.5 million. So it goes around between 22 and 25 years of age. And as we can see, which is pretty consistent from what we've seen before, with our students being the most. And as well as those who are post-grad and graduate students are about those ages. So it makes sense that you can see it's consistent between who uh, purchase the most from us: 23, 24, 25 year olds and stuff of that nature. So that's pretty consistent from what we've seen so far in terms of education, students, occupation, and single people. So in conclusion, we could say that single people with no income that are students, by the vast majority of our sales come from them, right? So postgraduate, graduate students with no income, around the ages of 22 to 25, are the number one demographics that buy from us. So I would say in terms of that, that's a conclusion I come to. Most of everything else is kind of pretty consistent in terms of like fulfill showing, kind of like demonstrating that students with no income, graduated 20 to 25 years old, those are the main demographic that buy from us. And as we see from the rest of the information, that pretty consistent. And I would say that some of my recommendations that I would provide in terms of like, well, first is kind of like maintaining the people who buy from us. Probably get some more discounts to students. If they're able to show a student ID, give them some discounts, as well as since students are the ones who buy from us the most in terms of that, then that's a specific age range, right? So if you're able to provide some discounts for them to become the customers, you can get new students from that as well. As we can see from before, right? People with no income are the number one people that buy from us, as well as students. So it's like if you can give them some discounts, stuff like that, it will probably encourage them to buy more from us, since they the people don't buy from us the most to begin with. Also, another thing we could do is probably offer some membership to customers and point system to encourage more spending. So those, who do buy from us occasionally, probably like married people, or employees, self-employed people like that who buy from us, a good portion of the time, though not the most of, in terms of our sales, also buy from us a good portion of the time. We'll probably give them some membership points and encourage them to spend more money. If they spend a certain amount, then they will be able to get a discount, a free meal, something like that, in order to encourage them to spend more money because they're already spending with us. So the last thing I would say is probably create a personalized campaign for people who aren't spending that much with us. For example, married people who aren't spending that much with us, housewives who aren't spending that much with us, uneducated people, things like that, who aren't spending too much with us, as a matter of fact, right? So encourage them to spend more with us by personalized marketing campaigns that target specifically those demographics that aren't buying too much from us. So I would say those are my recommendations in terms of like our best options in regards to getting more people to increase our sales. So that's my conclusion, and those are my recommendations. Thank you.